kick this banquet off, the affair. If you came to eat, why, you're all done.
Yeah.
But if you came to learn more about the Living Foods program and the state of this reality we're in, then you get to listen to Paul Nison. And I want to welcome you, and then I want to say, Paul Nison, I see as a gladiator out there touching the world and letting them know about raw. The word raw has become a pretty chic word. It used to be just raw. And when I first started lecturing about wheatgrass, telling people what I had done, what Dr. Ann had been doing, what we were going to do here, I was playing to an audience of people that were very naive. They didn't have any idea what was going to happen in this field of living nutrition. But then I didn't need it. All I could do was work at it. But as I say, now we have a few gladiators out there beating the bushes, and I find the word raw creeping into the titles of a whole lot of books. So, without any fanfare at all, I will turn it over to Paul Nison.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and I'm so glad this place is here because it helps so many people. And I send people here and I tell people about it, and it's always a pleasure for me to come here and see so many people here. So thank you for coming tonight. If you're not staying here, if you just came for the evening, and if you wanted to get away to a place, this is a place I definitely recommend because I've traveled all over the world and I've seen many health clinics all over the world. My main message, or one of my main messages, is to keep things simple. And that's what they do here. They keep things simple. And that's why people get better, because when it comes down to it, health doesn't begin with adding things to your diet or adding things to your lifestyle. It begins with leaving things out. When you leave out the bad stuff, that's when you'll start getting healthy again. And then you could start looking at what else needs to be done, but that's where it begins. And what they do here is they simplify things, and they get right down to the basics. And that's what really assists the body in doing what it's meant to do, and that's just heal itself from all disease and keep itself healthy. Now, before I start, I want to ask you a couple of questions. And I know you're off your blanket liquid diet thing here and your fast, so nobody fall asleep on me, okay? I know you got your energy now, and everyone keeps smiling. How many people here are actually eating a raw food diet? Wonderful. Okay, great. How many people here have heard me speak before? Okay. How many people here are actually eating a vegan diet? Okay, how many people are eating a lacto-vegetarian diet? Like a fake vegetarian, anyone?
Fake vegetarian, well put.
Lacto-vegetarian is a vegetarian that they say they don't eat meat, but they eat animal products like dairy products and eggs. That's called a lacto-vegetarian. How many people here just came from McDonald's? Okay, I just did, and I stopped there earlier, and I probably visit more McDonald's than anyone else in the country. And Burger King as well, and it's a great thing, because when you need a bathroom, it's a great place.
Oh yeah, much better than the gas stations.
They never kick you out, they never tell you you're going to be a customer, and there's never anyone in there, because everyone's so constipated from eating the food there that they don't have to go to the bathroom. So it's always available. So I go there all the time, and what I see when I go to McDonald's, it puzzled me for a very long time until I finally figured it out. And what I see is people standing online about to eat the worst food on the planet. It's not even food. About to eat the worst things on the planet. And they're actually enjoying themselves and they're happy about it. They're happy about it. But what really, they're happy with their Happy Meal and everyone's happy and everything's great. But what really puzzles me is when I go to a health food store or a vegetarian restaurant, I see people about to eat the best food in the world, and they're stressing out about what they're not getting enough of, or what they're getting too much of, or what they're missing. And it really puzzled me. How can these people be eating such good food and be so worried about it. And these people eat such bad food and not worrying about what they're eating. And then people come to me and say, well, I eat terrible and I feel great. And then other people say, well, I ate a vegetarian diet and I don't feel too good. And then I realize there's a lot more to this than just food alone. If you're going to stress yourself out getting the healthiest food, you're going against health. You're going against what you're doing. It's like people in New York, I see them running to a yoga class and stressing themselves out to get to a yoga class to relieve stress. It's going, it's 1 minus 1 equals 0. So you can't do something good and do something bad and expect to end up in a positive way. So you have to continue to be healthy, not just from a physical standpoint with food, but in every aspect, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And the easiest part of all of those aspects is physically. That's the easiest part, the easiest way to do it. And the reason why is because we're made to know what foods are best for us. Our bodies know what food is best for us. But mentally, it's a real challenge to actually go and eat that way and do that. How many people here, by a show of hands, would like to feel as good as you can feel and be as happy as you can be? Some of the time. How many people here would like to feel as good as you can feel and be as happy as you can be all of the time? How many people actually go and do what will keep them feeling healthy and good all of the time? Exactly, I can't even raise my hand to that one. And there's a reason why we know what's best for us, we know what's right for us, but we don't go ahead and do it. Instead, we make excuses. Instead, we listen to other people instead of listening to our own bodies. Instead, we read other reports, and because everyone else is doing it, we think it must be right when our body still tells us it's wrong. I tell everyone in all my lectures, do not listen ever again to common sense. Instead, listen to your own body sense. Because when you listen to common sense, you end up like the common person in today's world. The common person today is not happy, they're not healthy, and they're just heading right towards death at a young age and disease. The popular thing to do today is the common thing. When you listen to body sense, you go against what is popular. When you listen to body sense, your body will tell you something else that common sense won't tell you. So from now on, instead of listening to common sense, listen to body sense. I wish it was as easy as I'm making it sound, but it's not. Because so many people are so convinced about something until everyone else tells them something different. I was there. When I started eating raw foods and I started healing myself and actually feeling better, when I was going through detoxification, I didn't look too good. And people would tell me, you don't look too good and you're sick and you're not okay. And I believed them. For a long time I was saying, well, I must not be okay, because the bottom line is if one person tells you that you don't feel well, you're going to look at them and say, how can you tell me how I feel? You're not in my body, you don't know me. But if 100 people in one day tell you you don't feel well, there's a good chance you're going to start thinking, I better get to a doctor, because something must be wrong with me, because everyone's telling me this. Well, how do you think it is when there's so many people in today's world telling us we should do something one way? We should be eating animal protein, we should not be a vegetarian, and we should make sure we're eating high protein diet and doing all of this. And we know our bodies are telling us something different, but because everyone else is doing it, we're going to go and do it. Or when we go to a doctor's office, and we know that the worst thing for us is to put these poisonous drugs and medications in our body, and it might take away the symptoms, but we know in the long run it's going to get us sicker. And we walk in there saying there's no way we're going to do it. But then we see doctors' reports, and we see doctors and all these other people telling us we need to do it. All of a sudden we change our minds real quickly. And we say, well, I got to do that. And I've had friends too. I tell them about the raw foods. I tell them about vegetarian diet and how it can heal people. And now I've seen people with cancer and all these other diseases that have gotten healed. And they say, well, my mother has cancer, or my mother has this, and I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to talk to her. And then they come back a couple days later. They say, well, I didn't talk to her. Why? Because this is serious now. Exactly. More of a reason to talk to her. More of a reason to tell her, well, you need to really understand what's going on here. There's a reason people are sick. There's a reason people aren't getting better. And the reason is, the main reason is because they're not listening to their body sense, they're listening to common sense. So that's what we have to change. Now when I was younger, I developed something called inflammatory bowel disease, which is also known as colitis and Crohn's disease. And if I would have listened to common sense, when I was at a high risk for colon cancer at 20 years old, if I would have listened to common sense, I would have probably got my intestines cut out. And I wouldn't have had colitis anymore. I wouldn't have had Crohn's disease anymore. I wouldn't have had my intestines anymore. You can't get colon cancer if you don't have a colon, is what the doctors told me. They were right. They were right. And if I would have listened to them, that's the situation I would have been in. And I would have actually been satisfied and happy, saying, I'm better, I'm cured. I know a lot of people that have gotten their intestines taken out. And they say, oh, I'm better. I was sick and the doctors saved me. They helped me. Their medication kept me going along. And then finally they had to take it out because the doctor said, every single time, I wish I would have had $1 for every time a person told me, the doctor said it was the worst case they ever seen. The worst case they ever seen. I don't know where they're looking, but how can everything they see be the worst case? It's what they're telling them. And when somebody says, well, I'm not too sure if I should get that, and the doctor says, well, this is the worst I've ever seen. Okay, sign me up for that operation. When do I have to go in? That's what they do. They just brainwash people and condition people to think they actually do what people are trained to do at a very young age, and it's to live in fear. And that's how they get to us, by living in fear. There are two types of people in this world. Some people that live in fear, and some people that live for pleasure. Those are the two types of people. And we're trained in today's world to grow up and live in fear. Fear about medicine, fear about money, or not having money, fear about health, not having health, or losing our health, fear about not having a home, fear about, crazy things, fear about Martians coming down to this planet and invading this planet. And we're just trained, and we're trained by several different methods in several different ways. But the fear of food. I was at a zoo the other day. I was in Germany 2 weeks ago, and I was looking at these gorillas. And I could just picture these gorillas who are sitting there with their babies and their children and all the other gorillas looking at us and saying to each other in their own language, look at those humans, look at how stupid they are. Look at the crazy things they do, and they think they're ahead of us. They have all this technology, and they think that they're the smartest species on the planet. But they still, when they get sick, they don't let the body heal itself. They go to some stranger and take some weird drugs that thinks it's going to get them better. And I could picture them saying, well, look at them, they bring their children they send their children to other people to get trained and taught instead of letting the parents train them. And they say all these crazy things, and they say, how could, it's crazy that they give humans, other animals, cow's milk and goat's milk and all these other animals, and they're supposed to be so smart, but they eat dead animals, and they think that's healthy. So they're actually laughing at us, and look at those gorillas.
Yeah.
They're just hanging around, swinging around, laughing. That they don't know what they're doing, and we call them stupid, but they're looking at us, who's got the last laugh? And they're healthy, and there's those books out there that sharks don't get cancer, and gorillas don't get cancer, and all these other things, and people are cutting up sharks and putting it in a pill form and giving it to people, and people are saying, well, my doctor said sharks don't get cancer, so I'm going to eat with the shark. I'm going to eat the shark, and I'm not going to get cancer because the shark doesn't have cancer. That makes common sense, but it doesn't make body sense. If you want to be healthy, do what your body tells you to do. And nutrition, I'm going to explain about nutrition tonight. I'm going to explain about health tonight. I'm going to explain about body sense tonight. And then I'm going to take some questions at the end. But what it comes down to is very, very simple. It's so simple. We don't need to go study to be a nutritionist in some medical college or be a doctor. We don't need to go and study about nutrition or science or biology or something to learn how the body works, to be healthy, to know about food, to know what's good for us and bad for us. All we need to know is we have to listen to body sense and not common sense. And I'll prove it to you. I'll give you a test, and I'll ask you 3 questions about nutrition. No one has ever failed this test when you listen to body sense. Now, if you listen to common sense is going to say something different. Common sense is going to say, oh, vegetarian diet isn't healthy because we need to eat dead animals. Because we need some nutrients in the fat and all these other things that are in dead animals. Common sense will say we can't survive on just eating plant foods because there's not enough protein or there's not enough vitamin B12. Common sense will say, wait a second, if you're eating too many raw fats, too many plant-based fats, that's high in cholesterol. Well, body sense will say, if you're not eating animals, there's no cholesterol in it at all. Even people that are trained and taught in school to know that will still go against that because common sense will say, well, it's fat and everything I see that's fat has cholesterol in it, so it must be high in cholesterol. And people try to argue with me and tell me there's cholesterol in plants. Common sense will tell us the craziest things and it'll make us justify doing those things because everyone else is doing it. And that's what's really crazy. You know what insanity is? It's doing the same thing over and over again that's not working and continuing to do it again and think it's working. That's what it is. Well, people call me crazy all the time, but at least what I'm doing is working. There's no doctor out there that has a 100% success rate. There's no doctor out there that has any success rate. There's no cure for cancer when we think with the common sense. There's no cure for arthritis. There's no cure for AIDS and all these other things when we think common sense. When we think body sense, our body doesn't see studies and reports and other people and other things. Our body doesn't see all these things. All our body knows what belongs in it, what's going to help it cure, and what's going to continue to get it from being healthy. That's what our body knows. And nutrition, our body knows better than any scientist, better than any book, better than any doctor out there. And you all know within your own bodies what food is best for you when you think of it with body sense. 3 questions. The first one. What is better for your body? A banana or a banana split? You're amazing. You all know. What is better for your body? Question number 2. An apple or a piece of an apple pie? Did you guys go to nutritional school to figure that one out? Did you guys have to read some books to figure that one out, or you just instantly know that? And if you give that choice to an animal, they're going to know that also. Question number 3, let me make it a little bit more challenging. What is better for your body? An organic salad or McDonald's? It's very simple to know. Now, when we think with common sense, when people say, well, there's not enough protein or this or that in the salad or an apple, we need the apple pie because it's the American meal and that's what we need to eat, and that's how people think. And then people will take the worst drugs and live the worst lifestyle. Then they'll eat a piece of fruit and they won't feel well and they say, oh, that fruit doesn't agree with me. People are just saying crazy things and doing crazy things. I mean, I always tell a story about a couple of years ago when I was driving my brother and he was eating a roast beef sandwich. And I've been telling him it's something crazy about it, but people close to you won't listen to you, but people far away will. And I was telling him about the health issues for years and telling him that he has to stop eating that stuff. And one day we're driving and he says, I can't eat this anymore. And I stopped the car, I almost got in a car accident. I was so excited that he said that. I said, you finally understand that this food that you're eating is terrible for you. And he says, no, there's a bug in my food. I said, look what you're eating. This food, that bug is probably healthier than everything you're eating. But what? Society makes us think that, hey, this is bad to eat an insect, but it's okay to eat a dead animal. You know, it's the conditioning of society that really gets to us. And I'm going to talk about that. But what I have found out when it comes to nutrition, what works and what our body wants us to do is just eat the highest quality foods that we can get. The highest quality foods. And when we eat the highest quality foods, our body will know exactly what to do with it. Our body will know exactly what amount we need to eat of that food. And our body will feel fine and we'll be able to get the exact amount of rest we need from eating that amount of food. And we'll still have time to do everything else because when we're eating the high quality food and we're eating it in the right amount, we don't need too much rest. But when we eat the lowest quality foods, when we listen to the common sense and we eat the low quality foods, our body does not know what to do with that food. And it overburdens our whole system and just creates such an energy loss. When we need so much rest, there's not enough time to get the amount of rest we need and also do what we have to do every day. So then we start using harmful things like alarm clocks to wake us out of our healing rest so we get going to do what we're doing every day. We continue to eat the low-quality foods, and that's where we run into problems. So one of the major causes of diseases are overeating and undersleeping. And the major cause of that is eating low-quality food. Because when you eat low-quality food, your body is not getting everything it needs. And when your body's not getting it, it's going to want more and more of it. It's actually going to starve for more of it. More people starve to death from overeating than undereating. Because you can eat a lot, but if you're not getting your body the nutrients it needs, you're going to starve. And when you eat the low-quality foods and you're just starving for more foods, guess what you're going to start doing? You're just going to keep overeating more and more and more. I've had the opportunity to stay on some people's farms and pick food, organic food, right from the ground or right from the tree. And I would get full so much quicker than where I got food from the supermarket. Because it had everything it needed right in there. The fresher the food, the higher the quality of food, the less of it you need. The less you're going to want, the less hungry you're going to be, because everything is right there in it. And the less you eat, the more energy you're actually going to have. Because yes, food does give the body energy from a calorie standpoint, but it takes more energy away than it's giving from a digestion standpoint. The key is not to eat more, the key is to simplify and eat less, and eat more simple foods. Now, from what we've done in the past to our bodies, and the condition of our blood and the condition of our health overall, we can't just go from one night eating McDonald's and eating the standard American diet and eating 10 times a day to eating once a day and just eating a pure, simple diet. We can't, and the reason we cannot do that is because we're going to clean out too fast. We're going to detoxify too fast. And that could become quite harmful. So we have to go at our own pace and slow it down. Where we're not cleaning out too fast, but we're not cleaning out too slow. That's why at the beginning of a raw food diet or a health program, we sometimes need to actually eat more food than less. Not basically for the nutrition part of it, but to slow down the detox from coming out too fast. And once we detox at the rate that our bodies can detox comfortably, and it might sometimes be a little uncomfortable, because if you're going to be eating McDonald's for 30 years of your life, and then all of a sudden you're going to start eating healthy, it's going to be a little uncomfortable. But once again, your body knows what you have control over, and what's uncomfortable, and what's dangerous. Most people feel detoxification when it first starts from the neck and above. Some teeth aches, some ear aches, some eye aches, a little cold, headache is quite common. These are things that are uncomfortable, but we can handle. But if you're detoxing and you can't stand up or you don't remember your name, you're detoxing a little too fast, and it's time to eat a little bit more to slow it down. To slow down your detox. And then once you've cleaned out, and some people, it takes years to clean out. Because if you've been putting toxins in your body for a very long time, you're not going to get better in 6 months. It's going to take a long time to clean out. But once you're getting more clean, then you're going to be able to eat less food and feel more satisfied in that food, because your body's going to be able to do more with that food. And you're not going to have so much poisons coming out at the same time, and that's when it's going to be easy to eat less food and enjoy it. And that's when it really becomes very inexpensive to eat a raw food diet or a healthy diet, when you don't have to rely on eating just tremendous amounts of food, when you can eat small amounts of food and be healthy and happy. I've had the privilege to travel the world and interview people in my books who've been eating a raw food diet for many, many years, or eating a healthy diet for many, many years. And of all the people, the healthiest people I find, even the people that are eating the standard American diet, the healthiest people out there are the people that eat the smallest amount of foods. Those are the healthiest people. There's one fellow, Dr. William Esser. He's 93 years old. He plays tennis every day. Amazing amount of health. Does he eat all raw? No. Does he eat small amounts of food and mostly raw foods and try to eat high quality foods as much as possible? Yes. Does he incorporate the other important aspects of health? The mental and physical and spiritual part? All of that? Yes. Is he healthy? Yes. I meet people that eat tremendous amounts of raw foods, and when you're beginning a raw food diet, eating the recipes, it's a great transition to getting a more simplified diet and a way to get the tasty, healthy, raw fruit and vegetables in your body. But if you're going to do that every day for the rest of your life, if you're going to eat 6 or 7 times a day, if I ate the way I ate when I first started eating raw food diet, I'd be very sick right now. And why do I know that? Because I see it happen all the time. The raw food diet is not a panacea. It's the best food on the planet for your body. But you have to understand, when your body cleans out, when you start getting better on the outside, you're also healing on the inside on a cellular level. And you have to go along with those changes. You have to make the adjustments when your body makes those adjustments. 10 years ago, I can sit there and eat an ice cream cone and probably not get sick. If I try to eat that same ice cream cone today, I'd get very sick. Because on a cellular level, I'm much cleaner now than I was 10 years ago. So our bodies cannot accommodate the same amount of waste that it was able to years ago. So that's what we have to understand. We have to change along with our bodies, or we're going to end up in the same place as if we never even looked at along the raw food path or the health path. If you have plans on doing this for 6 months and then getting off it, or for 6 years and then getting off it, I recommend you don't even do it at all. Because you're actually going to put yourself in more danger, whereas if you never did it at all. If you go all the way forward and then you go backwards. I recommend, if that's where your plan is, then just eat a little cooked food, and just eat a little bad food, mostly good food, and keep moving forward. There's 2 ways to do this, because there's 2 types of people. And I tell the first type of people, health begins with what you leave out. So leave out the bad stuff, and slowly but surely start incorporating all the high quality foods, and you'll see your disease will start going away, and you'll start feeling better. And the other people are the people that there's no way in the world they think they can eliminate certain foods from their diet. There's no way they think they can eliminate the bad stuff. And those people, I say, all right, well, if you feel you can't, you really can, but if you feel you can't, then surround your whole diet, whatever you're eating, keep drinking your coffee, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, but surround it with 75% of green foods. And I don't mean green M&Ms, with green foods. People say, well, what if I'm going to drink a cup of coffee? Have 3 green drinks. People say, what if I want some eggs and ham in the morning? Well, then have most 3/4 of your plate filled with green salad. And you'll see a tremendous difference either way of that, because you're balancing out and you're cleaning your blood from more of an acid point to more of an alkaline point, which is very important, and which is where all disease starts from, is from a dirty blood. And when you're overeating and food's staying in your body and it's not coming out and it's fermenting, that fermentation is going to create a gas. And that gas, you want that gas to come out of your body. You don't want it to stay in your body because it's a dangerous gas. The people around you want it to stay in your body. They don't want it to come out. But that's a really dangerous thing, and it's something we really got to be careful with. The fermentation and the putrefaction of the food that's not coming out. The first 2 signs of disease are what 95% of Americans and 95% of the world suffer from. Constipation and laziness. Those are the first 2 signs of disease. In fact, I know some people that are so lazy, they're actually happy they're constipated, so they don't got to get up and go to the bathroom. That's how crazy it is in today's world, and that's what people, the situation some people are in. Those are the first 2 signs of disease. And what is disease really? Disease is stress. When we're born, we have a vitality level up here and a disease level down here. And as our stress level rises, our vitality level comes down. As long as our vitality level is higher than our stress level, we're going to be healthy. We're going to be healthy. We're going to feel great, and everything's going to be great. And all we need is to eat high-quality foods, and we can reverse it and be healthy, very healthy. People ask me about supplements and things like that. Well, as long as our vitality is higher than our stress level, our body still has the power to do everything it needs to be healthy and happy. But once our vitality level gets lower than our stress level, that's when we have some form of a disease. And the higher the stress level, the lower the vitality level, the more severe the disease is going to be. And that's when we need some assistance from outside, external body work and internal body work, to help relieve ourselves of the diseases that we have or the stress level we have. That's when some people might get involved in doing some out-of-body works with colonics and enemies, or taking certain supplements. But you don't need them if you're going to stay healthy in the first place, and if you're going to keep your stress level low. And it's not just physical stress level, it's a spiritual and a mental stress level also. Well, actually, both of those lead up to the physical stress level that get us all the time. Like I said, people are overeating. They're overeating on bad foods. They're even overeating on good food. People are overeating, and it's creating such a burden on the system You cannot be healthy. The bottom line is, the more you stress your body, the more disease you're going to have. And nothing stresses the body more than putting things in there that it doesn't need. Putting bad food in there, putting bad combinations in there, putting negative messages in there. It's not just food alone. Your body does not know the difference between a hamburger or a salad. When you eat something, it's going to take what it needs and it's going to get rid of the rest. And if you eat something and it's very little to get rid of, well then that's great. That's creating very little amount of work for your body, and your body's going to have enough amount of energy to do what it has to do. So when you eat something like a piece of fruit, or an apple, or a carrot, or a vegetable, your body needs gets everything it needs, and there's very little to get rid of. When you eat something like a hamburger, or a chicken, or a piece of bread, there are some things in there your body can use, but there's a lot to get rid of. And that's what's going to clog up the body and cause constipation. And that's going to be leading to the beginning of other forms of diseases. When you overeat, even on the good foods, your body's going to be able to take what it needs from what it gets, and then it's going to have so much more to get rid of. It's going to create so much more work to get rid of that. And that's going to create also constipation. It's going to lead to other problems. I know people that eat, I ask people, how many times a day do you eat? And they tell me 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I say, what about the snacking? They go, well, that doesn't count. Why doesn't that count? Your body doesn't know the difference between a snack and a meal. When you take something in, your body has to work to process it and has to get rid of it. It's working. So I know people eating 5 to 10 times a day. They're going to the bathroom once a day and they think they're not constipated. I know some people that go to the bathroom once a week and they think they're not constipated. You know, I always say, people say you are what you eat. I say you're what comes out of you. And if it's not coming out of you, it's staying in you. And I'll leave that up to you to guess what you are if it's not coming out of you. That's what we want to make sure. We want to make sure the food's coming in, it's going out, it's healthy, and we're getting what we need from the food. Keeping it very simple. What does body sense tell us what's the best foods for our body and not the best foods for our body? All we need is the ripe, fresh, organic, fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. That's it. In small amounts when we finish detoxing. In small amounts. But before we finish detoxing, like I said, we might need more to hold back the detox from coming out too fast. But then once we finish, we only need small amounts. Unfortunately today, people are eating for the wrong reasons. People are not eating for nutrition. People are not eating because they need to eat something, some vitamin or nutrient for their body. People are not eating for health. The reason why most people eat today is for emotional satisfaction. To satisfy their emotions. And people are overeating to satisfy their emotions. Tremendously overeating because they can't get control over their emotions. They don't have control of it, so they're just eating tremendous amounts of food, creating other problems, which are going to lead to other emotional problems, and they're just going to eat more to deal with them. And that's why people are eating. Because we can go a very long time without eating any food. You've learned that this week here. And you can feel great. You're not going to starve to death if you miss a meal or eating for a day. So if we don't have to eat every day, why do people think we need to eat 7 times a day or 8 times a day? If we can go a whole month without food, after we detox and clean out, the longer we can go. But at the beginning, we might not be able to go that long because the detox is too fast. The cleaner we get, the cleaner we are, the longer we can go without eating a lot of food. So slowly but surely, as we start cleaning out, the less food we're going to need. And when we're able to do that, the less rest we're going to need. Because the less energy we're wasting. The less money we're going to spend on the food. And that's when we can get to a point that we have to work up to, where we can eat small amounts of the high quality food and nothing else and feel amazing. I have traveled the world with Dr. Fred Vichy. And I've heard stories about Ann Wigmore. These people would eat so little and so simple, and they would have such amounts of energy, they would only need 2 or 3 hours a night sleep. And they feel great. But when you eat the standard American diet, people need 9, 10 hours a night sleep, and they still feel terrible because they're not getting enough sleep. Simplifying and keeping it as simple as possible. And most people are overeating, and they're overeating on on fats. These are people on the standard American diet. They're eating on fats, they're overeating on sugar, they're overeating on protein, and they're not eating enough of the most important thing they need for their body, and that's the chlorophyll, the green foods, the green leafy vegetables. I mean, from a fat standpoint, if you're going to eat animal fats, or you're going to cook any kind of fat, that is probably the most harmful thing for your body, is eating animal fats and cooked fats. Your body does not know what to do with them. Your body does not know how to get rid of them. And it's going to create disease quicker than almost any other thing out there. The plant-based fats and the raw fats are probably the healthiest things when you don't overeat them. They're probably the healthiest things. It's getting everything to your body. You get all the essential fat amino acids. If you're trying to eat a vegetarian diet and you're leaving those important essential fat amino acids out, there's a reason why they're called essential. We need them. Things like hemp seeds, which have all those essential fat amino acids plus chlorophyll. Amazing food. Flax seeds. These things are great. Olive oil. These things are great for the body. Some people say, oh, I can't eat that, it's fattening. First of all, there's no cholesterol in it if it's not an animal product. And it's only going to create a problem if you overconsume it. But if you eat it in the right amount, you're going to feel fine. And how do you know if you're not eating the right amount or not? Well, if you're eating it and you're not feeling fine, guess what? You're eating too much. But there's no way we should completely cut these things out of our diet. There's different types of fats. The healthy fats and the bad fats. The raw plant fats are the healthy fats, and the animal fats and the cooked fats are the bad fats. There's a big difference. So when I hear people say to me, oh, you eat coconuts, they're too fattening. Or people come up to me, I was doing a retreat once, and everyone came in the kitchen and they asked me, is this fattening? Is this fattening? You know, avocado's fattening, is this fattening? I said, well, I eat them. Look at me, I'm not too obese. You know, if I ate a Snickers bar or a candy bar every time I ate an avocado, there's a good chance I would be, if you see my before and after pictures of my book, you know, I would have a pretty big gut. There's a reason for that. And then the sugars. The sugar, overeating on the sugar. I mean, there are high quality sugars and low quality sugars. Candy bar and processed sugars, these are the low quality sugars. The high quality sugars from the fruits and the vegetables, there are high quality sugars that the body can use more efficiently. But the bottom line is, if you're taking more in than you're expanding in energy and you're not burning that sugar, it has to go somewhere. Something has to happen to it. And the quicker we take it into our bodies, the more we're going to create problems with blood sugar if we're not expanding it, getting rid of it. So if we're going to drink some fruit juice, or we're going to eat some fruit, or we're going to eat a candy bar, we got to burn it up real quickly or it's going to create a problem. There's something called the glycemic index. And for people with diabetes and hypoglycemia and all blood problems, you should definitely learn the foods that are high on that and get into our bloodstream as quickly as possible. Those are the foods that we definitely have to be aware of. There's a big difference between sugar from one thing and sugar from another thing. And the glycemic index, it's a great book which says which foods are high glycemic and low glycemic. And it's not just from fruits alone. There are things, the starchy foods, that are really high in the glycemic index, which actually are converted to sugar inside our bodies at a very quick rate. So people with diabetes and all these other blood sugar problems are more harmful and more in danger from eating these high starch foods that convert quickly in our body into sugar than eating a piece of fruit. And these people are staying away from fruit because they don't want any problems. But if you're going to eat a piece of bread and not eat fruit, you're creating more harm than you are helping yourself. So you have to look at it on every level. Eating small amounts of the highest quality food. Fruit is the best food on the planet. It has everything it needs in it. And as long as it's organic, you're getting clean liquid from it. And it goes through the body more simple than any other food out there. But if you're not burning in what you're taking in, if you're not burning it up, it's going to stay in your body and the sugar has to go somewhere. And it's going to create a tremendous amount of stress on your body. And the gas from the fermentation of the sugar is going to create a tremendous problem. And it's going to back up into the blood and it's going to create a problem with the blood gases. And there have been many studies out there from Hippocrates, from Gabriel Cousins, Brian Clement, Ann Wigmore, Victor Kovinskis, Dr. Fred Bishey, and a whole bunch of other health experts who have been doing this for a really long time, who have proven that eating too much sugar and not burning it off is going to create a big problem with health. And the body doesn't know where you're getting that sugar from. There's not a little man in your body saying, oh, this is coming from an apple, or this is coming from an orange, or this is coming from a candy bar. All it says is, I got something here and I got to use it up. And if I don't use it up, it's got to go somewhere. And it's going to create a problem if it goes in the wrong places. So when this creates a fermentation and it creates a gas, it's going to create a problem. And more people are walking around from high sugar, walking around with, they're bloated from the gas that's created from the sugar, and all these other problems. They're running into problems. And the more I get into this, people used to tell me, and I didn't believe it, but I could just see the people, when I look at them, the people that are running into problems from eating too much fat or too much sugars. I could just see it by looking at their face, and I could see it by looking at their bodies and their guts, you just could tell it, and you could smell it off a lot of people too, when somebody's eating too much fat. It's so obvious that people, all they need to do is simplify what they're eating, and not add something to their diet to deal with it. It's just slow it down and say, hey, well, wait a second. Understand that your stomach is like the size of a fist. And, eat a banana, eat an orange, that's wonderful. Eat 25 bananas, well, wait a second. Your body is not able to deal with that much. That's adding a tremendous amount of stress. Now, eating 25 bananas is not as harmful as eating 25 candy bars. But that doesn't make it a good thing. You want to do the best you can do. It's not about being 100% perfect. It's about being 100% happy. And the body, if people say it's amazing that the body, somebody can eat a raw food diet and get better from cancer and all these things. I say the most amazing thing about the body is that a person can eat McDonald's and Burger King for as long as they're eating it and not get sick from eating all of those things for so long. The body is amazing. And people are bickering about these minor issues when there are so much more important issues out there. People are saying, oh, should I take sea salt? Or should or can I have olive oil? Or something like this. Trust me, if somebody's eating McDonald's for 30 years of their life and they're not developing cancer, are you taking a tablespoon of olive oil on your salad every day? It's not going to be a problem. Or are you taking a little pinch of sea salt in your soup or something? It's not going to be a problem. If you can go without that, fine. But if you just have to add that to make yourself eat a healthy diet, don't worry about that. Don't get upset about that. Don't stress yourself out over that. Because people eating a healthy food and stressing themselves out about what they're eating, they're destroying the benefits of that food in the first place. And that's when you're not going to show the results that you can get from eating this way. The results are tremendous. And it's never too young or too late to decide, hey, I want to eat better. You're never too young or too old, and it's never too early or too late to start eating a healthier diet. You don't have to jump into it overnight and start eating perfect. And the results, the body will tell you the results when you listen to body sense. There's a problem and a reason why a lot of people don't do that. And protein, I'm not even going to get to protein because people are eating so much protein in today's world. People are eating so much protein and they think they need to eat these high amounts of protein because they think if they don't eat the protein, they're not going to have the strength to get up and take one step because they're not going to have no muscle. Well, you can eat all the protein in the world. If you're not going to exercise, you're not going to have any muscle and you're not going to be strong. It's not from the food. Protein is actually made in the body. It's actually the amino acids, the 8 essential amino acids that we cannot get from our body, that we have to get from an outside source, that help produce protein in the body, or the protein helps produce the amino acids. But you can get all of that from a good source of raw fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. I know a lot of people eating a raw food diet for many years. I've never met any of those people who have had a protein deficiency or a vitamin B12 deficiency. I've met a lot of people who have been eating a cooked food diet who've had deficiencies in these. What does that tell you? It's very simple when we listen to body sense. And the green foods, they're so important because it's what we're missing. What happens when we eat these bad foods and we overeat these foods, we create an acid balance in our blood, and it just makes our blood more of an acidic way. And this is going to create problems. Our blood should be alkaline. And the greens are what helps alkalize it. And the chlorophyll from the greens is so important. That's why the wheatgrass and the sprouts are so beneficial. I'm not going to talk about the enzymes and the dehydrated foods and things like this. These are so easy to understand that the more enzymes are in the food, the better the food is. The more liquid in the food, the easier the food goes through our bodies, the less stress it's going to create. But the chlorophyll, the green food, that's what's going to help alkalize our blood, and that's what's going to keep us healthy. If you have clean blood, you're going to be clean inside, and it's going to help your organs and everything work properly. But when you start eating too much of the wrong food, and you have, like most Americans do, or most people in this world do, you have too much of an acidic balance, and that's going to create tremendous amounts of problems. People need to eat a lot more green foods than they're eating. That's why I say if you cannot give up the foods you're eating, surround it with 75% green foods. And if you can eliminate the bad things, you only need a small amount of the good things to be healthy. From a nutritional standpoint, it's easy. You've all proven that you know everything you know nutritionally. But you've all proven to me that you don't do it nutritionally because you said you can do it, and then you said you don't do it when you didn't put your hands up when I said how many people want to do it all the time. There's a reason why we don't do it all the time. And that's what is more important for us to focus on. And I found mentally it's more of a challenge to eat healthy than it is physically. It's mentally we run into the roadblocks and the problems. There are many roadblocks we run into. And what makes up the way we think mentally? There are two things that make up the way we think mentally. Our belief system and our emotions. Our belief system make up the way we think from the past, and our emotions are what makes up the way we think presently. And where do we get our belief systems from? From two places mostly. From our parents, by thinking the way they thought, and doing what they told us to do, and living the way we were trained to live by them and our teachers when we were growing up. Now if your teachers and your parents are living healthy now, no matter how old you are, if they're living healthy, they don't have disease and they're not sick, and they feel great, then there's a good chance that they have a very good belief system, and we can hold on to that belief system and stick to it. But if your parents are like my parents, as the older they get, or as the younger they get, the more sicker people are getting today, and they're not healthy, and they all have some kind of problem, and they accept it as being normal to have a sickness at a young age, well, I wouldn't listen to their belief system. Their belief system says, hey, once we hit 50, we're supposed to get some kind of a disease. And if we don't have some kind of disease, we're going to be sick. I mean, we're lucky if we don't have some kind of a disease. I don't want to have that kind of belief system. I want to think I'm lucky that, I'm lucky to just know the real answers and to know that I have a good belief system, so I don't have to think I'm lucky if I don't have a disease. That's what I want to believe. So we have to break away from that conditioning and that belief system. Well, where's the other place we get our belief system from? It's the most harmful things in our lives that we have to get rid of. More harmful than eating some bad food. More harmful from overeating. It's what makes us overeat. It's what makes us believe certain things. It's the most harmful things in our lives. And that is what controls all of us ultimately in today's world. Television programming. I tell people, forget, there's a reason why they call it program. Programming. It programs us. Throw away your TVs. Unless I'm on it, never watch it again. It's a terrible thing, and it makes us do crazy things. And what's the worst two things on TV? The media and the commercials. The news is the most harmful thing on the TV. It adds more stress to people from a mental standpoint than anything else out there. More people die watching the news than any other time of the day. The reason why is because the news is on TV all day. And it creates so much negativity and pressure and stress on people. And the negative message, the confusion that it has, people cannot watch the news and be healthy. You just can't. And then people say stupid things to me like, well, how will I know what's going on in the world? Trust me, if something bad enough is going to happen where you need to know about it, you don't have to watch the news. Somebody will tell you. I have people call me up all the time telling me all the bad things that are happening everywhere. As soon as I see the caller ID, I say, uh-oh, what happened now? They get on the phone, can you call me when something good's happening? Because it adds so much stress to us, and the commercials, they just know how to get to us emotionally, and just know how to get to our emotions. And we're all victims of it. We're all victims of TV. Because when we're born, if somebody stuck a chicken leg in front of us, or stuck some kind of animal in front of us, and said, eat this, we would start crying and start spitting it up and throwing it out, and no way we're going to eat this. When we see TV and we see all these other people eating it, and our parents are eating it, and everyone else is eating it, once again we start thinking the common sense and we start eating it. And then we start, we accept it as normal. And we're all victims of it. How many people here, by a show of hands, have ever eaten a chicken? How many people here, by a show of hands, have ever eaten a hot dog? How many people here, by a show of hands, has ever eaten a hamburger? How many people have ever eaten a turkey? Happy Thanksgiving, a turkey. This shows how victims we are of society and the way we think. How many people here, by a show of hands, has ever eaten a rat? Yeah. Knowingly. Not too many people. And some people said, ew, I wouldn't eat that. That's disgusting. No way. You know what? I guarantee if the news and the ad campaigns came out with a new slogan, rat meat, the new choice, the healthy choice, and the news that had some reports about eating rats can help eliminate cancer, people would start eating it. People would start doing it. I remember a couple years ago, that TV show on Survivor, they had the best fruits in the world right over them, and they're running around chasing the rats. Because they're saying, we need our protein, we need our protein. They caught the rat, they cooked the rat, and what's the first thing they said after they ate it? Tastes like chicken. In fact, they said it tastes better than chicken. But then you have the TV that makes rats look terrible, but chicken looks good. Well, there's no difference in eating either one. It's still disgusting either way. And then you have some crazy people saying on the TV things like, oh, when I come home from work every day and I see all these rats around my neighborhood and the mayor has to do something about cleaning this area up. And those same people are going to the park on Saturday morning and feeding the squirrels, which is just a tree rat with a pretty tail, but it's not justified as being disgusting to them. It's the same thing. The other day I went to a Burger King to use the bathroom, of course, and I saw a little kid eating a bat burger. That little Batman on it, a little picture of Batman, he's eating his bat burger. He had his little Batman, outfit, and he's eating a bat burger. I remember when I was growing up in New York, we were scared of bats. Bats weren't good to eat. Bats were disgusting, and now this kid's eating a bat burger because of Batman. If there was a superhero called Ratman, people would be eating rat burgers. I mean, all a bat is a flying rat. But people think different about it. And people in other countries are eating cats and dogs. And in this country, people eat horses. But most people will say, oh, no way, that's disgusting. I wouldn't do that. The TV makes us do crazy things and makes us justify doing those crazy things. When we listen to common sense, we do it and we fall into that trap. When we listen to body sense, we stop letting our emotions control us and we get control over our emotions. That's it right there. If we're eating for our emotions, and if we're causing harm on our body because we're listening too much to our emotions, and we're not doing the right things that are going to keep us healthy, and we know what's going to keep us healthy and not keep us healthy. We know if we can go, how you know if you're clean or not, or if you're healthy or not? If you can go 2 or 3 days without eating any food at all, and you can feel just as good as you feel when you're eating, or even better. If you get a headache, or you feel bad, or you feel tired when you start fasting, well, that's a great sign that you need to clean out and you're not as healthy as you think you are. You just did a fast for a couple of days. If you felt amazing after not eating food for 3 days, or during that period, it means one of two things. It means, number one, that you're very clean, and that's a great thing, or it means that something is really wrong in your body. But you cannot, that's how you can really tell how clean you are inside. Because if you're going to start fasting, I remember the first time I fasted, one meal, most people in today's world, they miss one meal and they get a headache. One meal and they get a headache. 2 meals and they feel like death. 3 meals and you won't hear from that person. That person's almost unconscious. But the cleaner you get, the longer you can go without any food. That's why when I meet people who are just eating all day long and consistently eating, and a lot of them making excuses, they say, they need to eat more, they can't eat more, and all these reasons. I know if that person's really clean or not, because if that person stopped eating, they're so used to eating so much, and it's not that they're losing anything nutritionally if they stop eating. It's that their body starts cleaning out when you stop eating. And by eating so much, it might help you feel good. Because the body, the detox isn't coming out. That's why someone has a headache and they eat something, the headache goes away sometimes. It's holding the detox in. It doesn't mean my body's craving this food and I need this nutrient. Doesn't necessarily mean that. It means, hey, this detox coming out, I got to slow it down. And that's what happens. I used to tell people, only eat when you're hungry and never eat for the clock. I don't tell people that anymore. I changed my thinking on that. And I've been very successful since I did. Because when people eat only when they're hungry, people are going to eat all day. Because people are eating for emotions. So people eat in the morning, I'm hungry. People in the afternoon, I'm hungry. In the evening, I'm hungry. In the middle of the daytime, between snacks, I'm hungry. And I'll give their excuse. Oh, well, Paul said eat when I'm hungry. And I'm hungry. Well, there's a difference between true hunger and habit hunger. A big difference. Most people eat for habit hunger. Very few people in this world ever eat for true hunger. Ever get to the point of true hunger. Habit hunger is why people eat. So I no longer tell people to eat just when you're hungry. Instead, now I tell people to eat for the clock. I tell people, pick an amount of times a day that you're going to eat. Depending now how many times a day you're eating, cut that number in half. If you're eating 14 times a day now, snacking throughout the day, cut it down to 7 times a day. If you're eating 7 times a day, cut it down to 3.5 times a day, or 4 times a day. And pick those times you're going to eat. So if somebody's going to eat 4 times a day, know tomorrow you're going to eat at 9 a.m., 12 a.m., 3, and 6. And know what you're going to eat in those meals. At 9 a.m. I'm going to have some fruit. At 12 a.m. I'm going to have a salad. At 3 p.m. I'm going to have some fruit. I'm going to have some nuts or some dessert at 6 p.m. or something. Know what you're going to eat. Don't focus on the amounts. But do not snack in between your meals. At all. Do not eat anything in between your meals. Make sure when you eat that it keeps you full until it's your next time to eat. And don't eat between the meals. And then as you start doing that, your body's going to start cleaning out, and you're going to start wanting to eat less. And then after doing that for a while, you're going to cut down to 3 meals a day, and then 2 meals a day. And some people, they eat 1 time a day, and they feel great because they get used to eating 1 time a day. And they're no longer used to eating 10 times a day or 20 times a day. It's a habit. That's why people are going to eat all this time, because they're used to doing it because it's just a habit. Well, if you can get used to eating small amounts of food, small amounts, and only eat it once a day or twice a day, your body's not working and expanding the energy like it needs to digest that food and deal with all that food. And if it's high quality food and your body's clean, it's getting everything it needs right from the food. That's what we want to work up to. I know people that eat once a day or twice a day and they're so healthy. It's amazing. And they don't even eat a lot anymore because the less you eat, the more full you're going to be on small amounts of food. If you can eat a lot and eat and keep eating, your stomach is expanded, and it's never a healthy thing, and it's creating a tremendous amount of stress in your internal organs. People say, oh, you got a good appetite, you can eat a lot, that's great. Well, that's not great. You shouldn't be overeating, and you shouldn't be, exhausting your organs, to eat, and then, making excuses why it's okay to do that. The bottom line is results. And the thing to understand is no 2 people are in the same place at the same time, so you have to do what works best for you and where you're at. But when you listen to body sense, what's right and what's not right. You understand that if you're eating McDonald's and you're getting an upset stomach and you're not feeling well, something's wrong. And it's not wrong with your friend, it's wrong with your diet. It's not wrong with your spouse, or you don't have enough money, or stress. It's something wrong with your diet. It could be wrong with those things also, but it's whole. It's not just, food alone. Mentally, physically, and spiritually, you want to eat as healthy as possible. You want to get control of your emotions. That's the main key. You want to get control of your emotions. How do you do that? And I've had all these books on how to get control of your emotions. And I have all these books on health and nutrition. And when I started traveling and simplifying my life and just wanted to eat less, I read a book by a lady named Peace Pilgrim, Step Towards Inner Peace, and she talks about simplifying our lives, and that's what I wanted to do, and I just got rid of everything I own. Everything. So I could travel on the road and get this message out to people. And as I did that, I felt better. I was simplifying my life. And it was so amazing. But the toughest thing I had to get rid of, the thing I had emotional connection to, was all my book collection. I mean, it got to a point where I was paying rent just for my books because I was never in my apartment. That's how many books I had. And I just really prayed that one day a book would come along that had the information that all these hundreds of books had. That I could just carry that book around with me and refer to that book so I don't have to go around looking at all these other books and finding space for all these other books. I wish I had a book that could help me deal with my emotions, get control over my emotions, show me what food is the best for my body, tell me the right amount to eat that in, show me the best way to live, give me the information of where I should live, how I should live, what I should do, what I shouldn't do. I had all this information in all these books. And then finally, when I got rid of those books and I just traveled, and I always thought about where those books were and who they were with and who was reading them and taking care of them, and just when I was about to say, hey, I need this information, I missed that information. I need it to help me so I can get the information out to more people. Well, it was, about a year ago when I was actually in Michigan, and I found the book that had all the information that all those other books had. And it was amazing. And that book is called the Bible. It has all the information of all those books out there. I mean, you want testimonials for the raw food diet? You got my testimonial. You got testimonials in my books of people I've interviewed over the years. You got Ann Wigmore's testimonials. You got all these testimonials. You want a testimonial? Pick up a Bible, read the story of Daniel. That's the oldest and best testament right there for raw foods. It's amazing. How do you get control over your emotions? And everyone has said this who I've interviewed in my books. And it's more important than the food aspect of it. And it's how to get control of your emotions so you can get control over the mental aspects, which will help you have control over the food aspects and to do what you know is right to do. And they all said it in more than one words, all the people I've met, and it's the most important aspect. If you want to become healthy and be healthy and feel great all the time, like you all raised your hands and said you wanted to, at some point in your life, you must develop a personal relationship with God. That's it right there. And I'm telling you, if you want to be healthy, don't take my word for it, please. Please don't take my word for it. Don't take my word about the raw foods. Don't take my word about avoiding television. Don't take my word about finding in God's word right there and developing a personal relationship. Go out and try it for yourself. Go out and try it for yourself. And please, if anything I've told you tonight is incorrect or doesn't work, come back to me and tell me. And I've been telling people that all over the world. Come back and tell me. And not one person has ever come back and told me that it hasn't worked for them when they go and actually do it. The only people that come back and say it hasn't worked are the people that don't do it. Those are the only people that tell me it doesn't work. It comes down to you have to have an open mind. The worst disease, the most popular disease, is having a closed mind. When you have a closed mind, you cannot grow. You cannot find the answer. When you have a closed mind, you're going to be insane because you're going to keep doing the same things over and over again that are not getting you the results. And you're going to keep complaining and making excuses. When you have an open mind and you start to try something new, that's when you get new results. That's when new things start to happen. That's when growth starts to happen. How you do anything is how you do everything. And if you do it halfway and you just take your time and you don't even look at what I'm telling you, well, you're not going to change. Nothing's going to happen. Open your eyes and see what I'm telling you. That is the truth. It works. Don't take my word for it. I didn't make this up. I didn't heal myself. By doing everything I'm doing, my body healed itself. And everyone's body has the same power my body has. That people have healed themselves from all these diseases all over the years. The problem in today's world is people think too much with their mind and they feel too little with their heart. And when they start closing their minds or opening their minds to open up their hearts, that's when you'll see some real big changes happening. It's amazing, and the great thing is everyone has the power to do that. These minor issues of the food. I mean, that's why there are people eating the worst food on the planet, standing at McDonald's and enjoying themselves. And they feel great. And some of them don't live a long time, but some of them do. But they're enjoying life. They're not getting stressed out about it. They like what they're doing. They're happy with what they're doing. Most of them are living their true passion. They're enjoying themselves. They're getting up every day to go do something they want to be doing. And they're not worrying about these minor issues. That's when you really start to feel happy and healthy. Not just some of the time, but all of the time. A raw food diet, there's so many different ways to eat a raw food diet. There's so many different ways. There's supplements. Should I take supplements? Should I not take supplements? What kind of water should I take? What kind of water shouldn't I take? Should I eat a lot of vegetables? Should I eat a lot of fruit? Should I do this? Should I do that? You know what? If you're eating raw foods, chances are you're eating much better than what you were eating before you started eating this way, and you're going to have a much improvement in your health. And if you're going to focus on the more important things, like getting control of your emotions and being happy with yourself and dealing with your surroundings from a physical and mental standpoint, the food's going to take care of itself. You know, people ask me, what book can I read to get all this information? What book, where can I get all this information from? Or what source can I get all this information from? Who can I go see and get all this information? You know where the best source of information is? How many people here believe in the power of prayer? You know, ask and you shall receive. Ask for the information and it'll come for you. Don't ask me if I'm eating a high fruit diet or a high juice diet, or juicing is good or fasting is healthy. Ask yourself. Ask in your prayers. Ask for God to show you the answer. And He will. But most people are looking all over the world for the answers, that they never sit there and ask where the real answers will come from. And that's when you do that, you'll see some pretty amazing answers. I don't know more than anyone else in this room about nutrition or about anything. I just have the knowledge and the strength and the courage to go and ask in my prayers the answers I want to get, and they're coming to me. Sometimes they're not what I want to hear, you know, but I try to do my best not to ignore them and listen to them. And as long as I follow what I'm being told to do, it seems to be working. I seem to be getting better. I seem to be happier. And I seem to, you know, just simplifying my life even more. And that's what the important part is. That's what it comes down to. And that's when you can really see who's got it and who doesn't. We're all healthy. We all have the same capability to overcome disease, to avoid disease, to know what disease is. We all have the same capability to pick up a book, to buy a book, to make money, to spend money. We all have that capability. There's nothing special about somebody who's a millionaire and they can own every book in the world or have every health care in the world or every alternative health care. There's nothing special. You know, I always say, Donald Trump and me, we go to the bathroom the same way. It doesn't matter how much money we have. You know, and we're all in the same place, in the same position ultimately, but we're at a different place of time. And we're no two people in the same time, at the same place in their life. So you have to do what works best for you at that point. So don't start asking and looking at what's working for other people. Start asking and seeing what will work best for yourself. Now before I end, I'm going to take some questions, but I'd like everyone to please stand up. Make sure you're awake here. No matter what it is you want to accomplish in life, understand that you can make it happen, but you are held accountable for what you make happen through your prayers and what you ask for. So be careful what you ask for, because you might just get it. You will get it. But you can make it happen. You have the power to make it happen. So with a big smile on your face right now, no matter what it is you want to do, with a big smile, say, I can do it.
I can do it.
Look at the person next to you and say, you can do it.
You can do it.
Look at the person on the other side of you and say, you will do it.
You will do it.
Now that person, look back at that person and say, don't tell me what to do.
You can tell me anything.
You can make whatever you want happen, happen. You just got to step out of your comfort zone and just have faith. Have faith. Think less with your mind and more with your heart. Have faith and good things will prevail. You know, I always say the most powerful greed in the world I used to think was money, but now I know it's not money, it's chlorophyll. But there are some crazy things in the world and the crazy way the world runs. And it's really crazy that, you know, the world is just backwards. I think the most powerful thing and the thing that really makes people happy is not money. It's what I call a smug. It's a combination of a smile and a hug. And what's more important and makes people even more happy is not hugging somebody you know, but smuggling a stranger. You know, but this crazy world we live in, I could stand on any street corner in America with a gun and say, freeze, don't move, and people will stand still. But if I try to give a stranger a hug, they run away from me.
Oh, yes.
That's how crazy it is. If you're ever in New York City, by the way, and you want a seat in the subway, just start hugging some strangers. You'll get a seat. Sometimes you'll get your own subway car. Sometimes you'll get a seat, but it'll be in the back of a police car. But that's how crazy the world is today, in today's world. And it's a real powerful thing. So before we end, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening to me. And I'm going to take some questions. But before we take some questions, let's do a little exercise I love to do. And that is find 2 or 3 strangers in the room that you did not come here with tonight. and just give them a nice smug, and just give them a positive word and say a little prayer or something. So let's do that now for 5 minutes or so, and then we'll come back and take some questions.
I'm crazy.
Thank you.
Yes, that's right. That's right. You're all ready to. That's fine.
Somebody keep my feeling
I don't know you. Hi, my name's Jim. Irene, how do you do? How much? Yeah, I know I'm here, but I don't know you. I know you.
Valerie, I'll give you a hug. Oh, walking off. I'm really a stranger, but I can talk to No, but I had a jacuzzi and I swam the pool. Not if I had a little. Your mother chewed me out today.
Anything that's unhealthy?
Because I think I can go there. And I said, did you cheat about it? She goes, how do you do it? I had asked her, can I have a salad? So when I got there, because I really wanted to take this one to myself. And I said, what's your role?
Actually,
Can you take that juice? I said, exactly here. And then it looks like I got a lot of there. And then she got it. So what he said is true. I thought I was not quite ready for too much of this.
Some people say, oh, I like my beer.
About it.
I mean, you can ferment things
That's
and
one
make beer
thing,
too.
I'm as far as I am. Yeah, my daughter's been working for 2 weeks now.
All right, everybody, we're going to continue.
Sir, would you?
I want one to speak too. Okay. Who's Jim Carrey? That's your name, really, Jim Carrey?
Oh, yeah. Very good. The whole Jim Carrey thing, right?
Wow, the ones who can't spell them.
All right, we're going to continue with some questions. Before we do that, I want to mention a couple of things. First, here's an email list I'd like to pass around. I have an email newsletter on my website. If you don't get them yet, I send out about once a month a whole bunch of specials and information and things that are going on in my life and my lecture schedule, where I'm going to be. So if you could write your email down, I just ask one thing. I don't understand a doctor's handwriting still, so please don't write like a doctor. I write like I can understand it, so thank you for that. All I need is your email address. I don't need a bio on you. The other thing I want to mention is my websites. One of my websites is rawlife.com, and on that website there are before and after pictures. There's a lecture schedule of where I'm going to be speaking. If anyone knows anybody in Chicago, I'm going there tomorrow, and I'll be there all next week. And then I'll be in Kansas City and St. Louis. And then we have a raw food retreat in Oregon coming up. That's all on my website. On my website I have questions and answers, before and after pictures, and that my email newsletter. You can go back to the archives and look at my newsletters from the past. My other website is therawworld.com. Therawworld.com. You don't want to go to rawworld.com, trust me. It's rawworld.com.
Oh my goodness!
Like Don said, the word roars is popping up in a lot of places now. That's not necessarily a good thing, but so therawworld.com, and on there, a lot of people were emailing me with a whole bunch of questions, and I really don't do email too much anymore because I just don't have the time. But I created this message board on this website where people can go there and post their questions, and other people will answer them. So therawworld.com, and on that website also we have we sell juices, blenders, books, all your raw food resources that you need to stay healthy, and we guarantee the lowest price on all these products. And the main thing is that the one thing we do that other people don't, and the reason we do it is because we really want, and I say we, it's me and Dr. Fred Bishie and a couple of other people, we really want people to be able to afford this lifestyle and enjoy it. We give 100% money back guarantee on anything people aren't satisfied with. So just to encourage people to go there a little bit more and check it out. And if we don't have it, we can get it for you. So check it out. So check that website out, and you can sign up for the newsletter there if you didn't get your email now. If you know somebody else that wants to sign up for that. I have another website which is paulnison.com, which is my personal website, but I can't tell you anything about that because it's personal. There's stuff on there that's going on with me in my life, and then I'm going to keep updating when I get a chance to get to the computer. And then there's another website that I have, which is rawchristians.org, which is a non-profit organization me and some friends started because we've realized that people in synagogues and temples and churches, unfortunately, eat a terrible diet. And we want to make them aware of that and get into the churches and the synagogues. So we're going to start doing that. And there's a message board on that which really talks about food from a Bible perspective and raw foods and things like that. It's a really great website, and there's some great testimonials in there. Very inspiring. So people should check that out. And there are some great links on my website to some other great sites. So with that out of the way, I do have some things here today that, God bless you, I didn't bring a whole bunch of them. Because I did actually, but I sold out. And I still have some cashews and jackfruit left, and some books, videos. There's some videos by Dr. Fred Bishy, who's been eating a raw food diet for longer than anyone, I think, alive, I would have to say, who's promoting this lifestyle. He's been eating raw foods for around 40 years, and he's a nutritionist for over 50 years, and he's in his 70s, and he's just an amazing health, and he's eating 100% raw foods for all this time. And I'm very fortunate to spend a lot of time with him. And I think me and him might be coming back next year to Michigan. We might be I'm looking all over the world to throw, all of the United States to throw a retreat, a raw food, raw Christians retreat. And we were looking, and we just found a possible location up at Hiawatha's place, the Yawa Center, up in near Lansing, Michigan, in Eden Rapids. So we might do that next year. So Dr. Bishy will be there. Either way, I'm going to get him to come out here, and it's going to be a great time. And Victoria Batinko's coming here in a couple of nights. I highly recommend people come and see her, especially if you haven't. She's just an amazing lady, and her books are great. I have some of her books there. Just an amazing lady, and I call her my mother-in-law. And I call her husband is my father-in-law. They're just amazing people, and it's a real gift to come to see them and to have them come here also. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to speak to her later tonight, hopefully. I'm going to get her number and speak to her later. But I definitely recommend people go there. And there's so much to tell people about, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to take some time out to tell you some of my thinkings, but there's a lot more to it. And just understand that you can never know it all. Just if you ever meet someone that thinks they know it all, they actually probably know nothing. You can never know it all. I used to think I knew all there was to know about raw foods until I hit my first detox. And then I said, wait a second, I don't know near what I think I know. I used to think I was on this my spiritual high horse, and I was the most spiritual Superman out there until I got knocked off my horse, so to say. And no one's perfect in this world. And it's human reality to mess up and to make mistakes, and that's what it is. That's what it comes down to. And it's a great thing to know that we could ask for forgiveness and be forgiven if we really mean it. And that's a wonderful thing, because we're all going to run into things that we don't do perfect. And that's what really keeps us humble. And that's what's really important. And is focusing on that and realizing that it's not about being perfect. It's about being happy. So with that out of the way, I'd like to take some questions.
What do you have against, say, eggs, which don't harm anybody, nobody gets hurt, you don't have to kill anybody to get an egg?
Okay, great question. First of all, eggs, morally, it's a terrible thing. Eating an egg, the chickens that produce the eggs are tortured almost to produce such a high amount of eggs in such a quick amount of time. They're almost tortured. It's almost more harmful than eating the actual chicken for them. It's very painful. Even free range, the eggs are healthier. They're not as drugged up, but still the rate that they're forced to produce the eggs are still, it's really doing a lot of harm to the chicken itself. From a human standpoint, it's one of the most unhealthy things for the human body is to eat an egg. It's just, the human body cannot identify it and digest it the way it's supposed to be digested without creating a tremendous amount of stress on the body. An egg is like an aborted chicken, some people say. It's just a terrible thing, and if you cracked open an egg and saw blood in it, and tumors, cancers, and all these other things, I don't think you would eat it. But you know, it's still in a lot of these things. I mean, it still comes from the same exact place, and it's just one of the most unhealthiest things we can eat. And if you don't believe me, have somebody that's eating a lot of eggs, and let's see how. You know, once again, the amount of things we eat also is really important. But eating eggs by general, it's just not a healthy thing to do. Animal products of any kind isn't healthy because the body cannot process it and digest it as being a natural food like a fruit or a vegetable because it's not made for our bodies. An egg is a baby chicken. I mean, that's what it's made for. It's just not made for our bodies. So, and anybody that's eating eggs, when you stop eating eggs, a vegetarian diet and a raw food diet can be the healthiest diet in the world if you get a good variety and you do it the right way. But if you don't get a good variety of foods, it could be the most harmful. But anybody who's eating a raw food diet, you can get every single thing you need in raw fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. And you definitely do not need eggs in that category to be healthy. Okay?
I understand the thinking about after you've been on this kind of diet for quite a while that you can reduce and reduce and reduce the quantity of food you're eating. And most people are trying to lose weight, so that sounds great. For those of us who are trying to put on weight, I wonder if you could speak to the issue of calories. What's enough?
Well, okay. Your body, you know, there's no little guy in your body with a calculator saying you have 2,000 calories, and if you burn 1,000, you're going to have this much, and we're going to weigh this much. Now, me, and a lot of other people, when you clean out, your body is actually balances out to the weight it's supposed to be at. People that are underweight are actually in a position where their bodies, you know, are not healthy and they're not totally clean and they're not fully detoxed, and that's what happens. When I was underweight, because when I went to the raw diet, I went down from 145 pounds to 118 pounds in 1 week. And I did not look good, I did not feel good, and I was always a guy that worked out in the gym, and I wanted to be big and strong, and I was really worried about it. The first thing, and mentally, I just let it get to me mentally, and that was a big problem. Until finally I let it go mentally. And I remember my ex-wife, she always used to say to me, you're too skinny, and then I told her, you know what, I'm going to lose another 100 pounds, like I heard of her. And, you know, mentally we got to let it go and just have faith that, you know, once we clean out, the weight is going to come back. The mistake I made, and a lot of people make, is I actually tried to eat more food to put on weight, more fattening raw foods, the avocados, the nuts and the seeds, and eat more often. And what that did is it slowed my body down from detoxing and cleaning out, where it prolonged me from actually putting back on the healthy weight. Yes, I did put on weight when I did that, but it was right around my gut, and it wasn't healthy weight, and I was still skinny everywhere else.
Why do some people need to get down to a very, very, very thin weight, and other people don't?
What tends to happen with people on a raw food diet when they're detoxing is people that are overweight to begin with usually put on some weight, and people that are underweight to begin with usually actually lose more weight. But you have to detox yourself fully of all the poisons in your body, and usually that means getting down to a very low weight, and then when you're clean, the weight starts coming back naturally, even on less food. Your body can deal with it more efficiently. And that's what happened to me. Finally, I went on a fast, and I said I'm not going to eat a lot, and I started eating more simple foods, and I was eating very little. It was like kale and fruits was all I was eating for a couple of weeks. And then I started exercising, and the weight just came back so quick. And what really did it was for me was stop worrying about and eating so much of the heavy fattening raw foods and eating so much of it thinking I needed to do that to put the weight back on.
As long as you're doing that, it could take years.
And actually eating less. What really helped me heal and put my weight back was getting the rest. The rest is what let me heal. And the more rest I got, the quicker I detoxed. And that's when it really sped it up, and that's when I was able to put the weight back on.
Have you seen that happen with other people too, or is this just your...
Just about everybody, when they really rest. A lot of people that are underweight, they don't get the amount of rest they need. They try to eat more food. They're not giving their system the amount of rest they need. And I see a lot of people that are underweight. It's quite scary, but when they go on a fast, a juice fast, a blended fast, or even a water fast, and I recommend if you do water fast, to do it supervised, they seem to put the weight back on much quicker right after their fast than if they wouldn't go on fast at all. And that, because you're giving your body a chance to do what it's supposed to do. But a lot of people are scared mentally from doing that.
I have 3 questions. One is about children needing to eat more than adults. me they do, but I don't know if on this diet that's correct. The second thing is about the issue of laziness. Is that really an issue of diet? And the third thing is, how do you eat for sports?
Okay, the first one about children needing to eat more. They don't need to eat more. They need to make sure that they're getting the full variety of nutrients that their body needs to grow. It's more important for a child, because they're building, they're growing, that they get those full nutrients, because the consequences, if they're not, are much more dangerous. So it's more important that they get a good variety. And people translate that for children need to eat more. If they're getting a good variety, then they don't have to eat more. You know, the reason why they eat variety is to make sure they're getting everything they need.
They can get down to 1 meal a day also? Or?
It depends where they're coming from. Their grandparents were healthy, their parents were healthy, and the condition of their blood is pretty clean, and they've eaten a healthy diet from birth, they've been a vegan or a vegetarian, raw fooder, they can get by eating a lot less and feel great than a child who comes from parents that did drugs and their grandparents did drugs and then they eat terrible. So that depends. The question of laziness, does it have to do with diet? It definitely does. The more we eat, the more sluggish the food is, the more enzyme deficient the food is. And when we put that food in our body, the more tired we're going to be. And the more lazy we're going to be as a result of that. Some people think it's a mental thing, that people just think lazy and they're just not excited to do things. Well, that all stems from eating a poor diet. So it's definitely a mental thing, a food thing. And the last one was raw food and sports. There's no better way to thrive with sports and be more efficient in your sports than to eat the healthy foods that we'll put here for us to eat. And
Do you eat a lot of fruit? What do you eat? Like, I was told on certain raw food books you must have bananas or oranges or...
well, it's like I was saying, it depends what kind of sport it is. A person weightlifting is different than a marathon runner. So you can't just look at it like, I do sports, what do I need to eat? You know, you have to gear, and the same thing with illnesses. You can't, there's no one diet for everyone. And there's no one sport out there, so you have to gear it for that particular. If a person is a marathon runner, and they're, spiking their insulin, but they're going to run 25 miles and they're going to run an Ironman race, well, their body might be able to deal with that. If a person is a weightlifter or a person is doing some other kind of sport and they eat that way, it might not be healthy. I mean, playing chess is a sport. But if a person is going to do that and they eat a high food diet, they're pretty much putting themselves dangerous because they're not burning off the sugar they're taking in. A person being a weightlifter might be able to need a little bit more protein or a little bit more nuts and seeds. And it also depends where you are. Somebody living in the north might need a little bit more fat for their body in a colder climate, and somebody living in the tropics might do better with eating more fruits. And with the fruits, there are sugar fruits and there are non-sweet fruits. So the non-sweet fruits are amazing as well. So there's no one answer, but the fact is, a person is going to do better in any sport if they eat the natural foods for them. But when it comes to the amount and the type, that all depends on where the person's at. That's why we can't look at somebody who's maybe running in Hawaii and running around and doing that, because if you put somebody in Alaska on a tropical fruit diet, their environment is not going to support that diet as well as somebody in Hawaii is. And if you have some people in Hawaii eating whale blubber like they are up in Alaska, it's going to be a big problem for those people. So it depends on environment. That's a big part of it also. Also, another big part of it is not just what we're eating, but when we're eating. You could eat if you eat 1 meal a day and you eat in the middle of the daytime when the sun is at its highest and our body's in detoxification mode and cleansing mode and digestive mode, well, that's going to be the most efficient way to eat. If you're going to get up every night at midnight and start eating when your body's in a resting mode, well, it's going to create a lot of stress in your body. So there's many other aspects to it.
I've heard that first thing in the morning, just after you wake up, was sort of the time when your body's going to detox more as a continuation from sleeping.
Well, it depends. I mean, I know some people that wake up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because they have night jobs. So you can't, it really goes by the rhythm of the sun. And when the sun is out at its highest, that's when our bodies are in breaking down food the most and digesting the most. When the sun is down at the lowest and in the middle of the night, that's when we're more in resting mode and healing mode. So that's what we want to look at. We want to try to eat according to that as best we can. So that's what we want to really look at. I think the best thing to do when you wake up, though, is to what Morris Crook, a fellow who I interviewed, is called the water flush. And every time when you get up in the morning, have a really good amount of water and start your day with that before you eat any food. If you can make it a green drink, that's wonderful. If anybody's going to, I think with juicing, green drinks are the best, leafy green juices. But if anybody's going to juice with fruit juice, I definitely think it helps if you dilute the juice. So it cuts down the amount of sugar in your system too fast. Now that doesn't mean we can't eat fruit that isn't diluted or drink fruit that isn't diluted. That doesn't mean that when we wake up, if we don't drink water, we're not going to be healthy. It doesn't mean that at all. But I'm telling you what I found to work best and what I've seen.
Just about the sugars again. What's a good way of knowing how much activity is needed to burn out how much sugar you eat?
Well, the best way is really, number one, I want to say go by how you feel, but if you go by how you feel, I'm saying go by how you feel physically, not emotionally. Because emotionally, we're going to feel great, we're going to want more sugar, because a person could take cocaine and have a great amount of energy, and it can seem like something's great. There's a big difference between stimulation and energy. So we can't necessarily go by how we feel emotionally, or even physically when we think of it from that point. But basically, we have to look at, there's many tests out there that could show if we're eating too much sugar or not too much sugar, because there are conditions that are created or by our body when we're taking in too much sugar. If we take in too much sugar, there's a good chance we're going to have problems with candida. If we take in too much sugar, there's a good chance we're going to have problems with blood sugar. If we take in too much sugar, there's a good chance we're going to run into other problems and have too much gas and be bloated. So there are clear signs, and even without those clear signs, if you go to somebody that does a dark field microscope, they can look at right there and see, looking at your blood, if you're eating too much sugar or not. And then even with that, you got to make sure somebody can translate it the right way and they understand. But that's why the Hippocrates Health Institute and Gabriel Cousins and Fred Bishey tell people not that they're eating too much sugar, because they see it right there in their cells when they look under the dark field microscope. They see it right there in their blood that they just have way too much sugar in their body. And then when they start cutting back on the sugar, they see it cleaning up in their blood. So that's a great way to tell. There's physical signs, and there's also signs that doctors could tell by taking tests. And then also you got other, I interviewed a colon therapist once, and he said the best way to tell how you're doing with your health is by what's in the bowl or what's not in the bowl, and how it comes out and the odor of it and everything else. So there are very clear signs. We just have to tap in and see what those signs are.
Sugar changes all the time. It's very dynamic.
What?
Sugar changes. It's very dynamic. It's not like I go and have a blood test and know what that.
Oh, trust me, if you have too much blood sugar in your diet, it'll show up definitely on your dark field microscope test. Trust me. Yeah, exactly.
Do you believe in iridology as a helpful tool to tell you how you're doing?
Anything that will give us the signs to show our health is a helpful tool.
I tried to start a raw food diet in January and found that I was freezing all the time. And I realized that I'm in a state of ill health, but if you think about eating naturally, I mean, God's not providing lettuce in the wintertime, tomatoes in the wintertime, all of these things, so how do you eat naturally and eat raw?
Well, when it comes to being hot and cold in different climates, that's more mental than physical. I mean, from a circulation standpoint, if your circulation is not good, you're going to be cold pretty much all of the time, not just in the winter time. And when people start eating a raw food diet, that's what happens to them a lot of times. Even in the summertime, they're just always cold. Their hands and their feet are cold. But when it comes to the heat in the winter time, and I'll answer the other part of your question in a second, but when it comes to the heat and stuff, I find in a mental thing, because I see people eating cooked food in the summertime, and they're not saying it's too hot to eat cooked food, but when they eat cold food in the wintertime, they say it's too cold. It's actually, people are warmer in the wintertime than they are in the summertime, because their houses are heated up much warmer than it is outside much of the times in the winter. But they look at the calendar and they say, it's December, it must be cold out, so I have to be cold, and I'm used to eating soup at this time of year, and I'm used to it being warm. I mean, I don't recommend people eating from refrigerated foods anyway that are cold. I recommend room temperature foods. And room temperature foods, rooms are basically in the summer and the winter are at the same temperature, 80 degrees. It's at a comfortable temperature. So if we're running around naked in the snow, yes, it might be too cold to eat a raw food diet if we're getting food from outside. But if we're eating in our warm apartments and our warm houses, food in the middle of the winter, but we're warm, and we're going outside with all these coats and everything else, and we're eating room temperature foods, and we're not eating ice cream or ice or banana ice cream in the middle of the winter, we'll be fine when we think of it from that standpoint. And there is a way to warm up foods and still have them raw with dehydration, and you could dehydrate them low, or keep them in the sun even in the winter time and they could get a little warm. There's ways to warm them up. Now, is it natural? No, but neither is living in a house. Neither is the clothes we wear. Neither is the things we do. We have to go along and also with what's happening in today's world. I know the best way to eat is to eat food as close to nature as possible. Right. So if I can get a pineapple from the next state or from the next backyard, that's going to be much better for me than a pineapple that's flown here from Hawaii. So it's best to eat the foods that as soon as possible from when they're picked out of the ground. So eat the foods as close to you as possible. But with the way it is today with farming, I mean, you can grow just about anything, anywhere, anytime with hot houses or anything. It's more important at the time it gets to you than the season, because you can't really say, is it natural anymore? Because, I mean, everything is unnatural, but we do it. We just accept it as part of nature. I mean, is it natural for us to be wearing clothes or living in houses? You know, you got to think of it. You can't think of things on that term. Is it natural for us to get in the car and drive and not walk somewhere? You know, but when it comes to food, what we want to think about is, how long ago was this picked from the ground? How fresh is this? How much nutrients are still in this food? You know, I think it's much healthier. It's not only distance. I mean, if I'm going to get a pineapple flown here from Hawaii, you know, it's much healthier if I can get that flown here within 1 week and eat it. It's much better, whereas if I go to the store and there's an apple that grew in my neighbor's yard and has been sitting there for 6 months. You know, so we have to keep that in consideration. Okay? You can't ask me because I told you not to talk behind my back. Yeah?
I wonder, what about supplements like ginkgo biloba along with the raw food?
Like I said with supplements, health doesn't begin where you add to your diet. It's what you leave out that counts. When a person, when their vitality level is higher than their stress level, they don't need any supplements. But once their stress level gets higher than their vitality level, they can use certain live foods in bottled forms to help them get back to a more healthier state, to assist their body in getting back to a healthier state. Enzymes in the food are so wonderful. But when a person is sick, in a sick stage, sometimes they're depleted in enzymes. Enzyme supplementation could help tremendously. Same thing with minerals. If a person is demineralized, minerals, extra minerals for a short amount of time can help them. But it doesn't mean they should be relying on that. So whole foods in bottled form, I mean, I can't get green foods all the time when I'm on the road driving in the middle of the night. I have a powdered green food, which are sprouted grasses, just in a powder form, which I mix with water. I get that in. That's called a supplement, but it's really a whole food. Supplements like that can tremendously help people. Herbs, natural herbs can help people. And when you get into things like vitamin supplements, which can be found in abundance in food and are not depleted in food, and the body has such an excess in most vitamins, you don't really need supplements like that, and most of them are actually more harmful for the body than helpful because they're so dead and not doing anything but creating more stress in the body in the first place. The only supplements I see people benefiting from are minerals, mineral supplements, because a lot of people are demineralized. I definitely see people with help from when they can't get the fresh greens from the green powders and things like that. Enzyme supplementation I recommend for everyone. Everyone, and I take it with everything I eat because enzymes are the most important thing we need. And if you can get food right from your backyard, you don't need any at all. That's wonderful. If you can get that, as soon as you get it though, the enzymes start getting depleted from the food. So the longer we take to eat it, the more help we need. So I would recommend it on that point. And then the other thing is probiotics. So many people are so damaged from what they've done in the past, and they've lost all the healthy intestinal flora from their body. Probiotics really help produce good, healthy intestinal bacteria, which the body needs to get back to a healthier state. Ultimately, when our stress level is below a vitality level, we do not need any supplementation. We are not here to rely on supplementation. We need the life-giving foods that have all the enzymes and all the vitamins and everything we need in it. But these supplements that I'm talking about aren't supplements like a supplement store would sell. They're not vitamin supplements and things to supplement our diet. These are things that are whole foods in a bottle, and sometimes people call them supplements. Sometimes people call wheatgrass a supplement. Wheatgrass is one of the greatest things. It has chlorophyll, it has enzymes. It's one of the greatest things for our body. I recommend everyone take it. It can be called a supplement because some people supplement it instead of, if they can't get a fresh salad or something. But it's not. It's a live food. It's a whole food. So I recommend the things we can eat in the whole form are okay to eat in a supplement form if we can't get the whole form. But I wouldn't take a vitamin and start breaking it up and eating that thinking we're getting the best thing we need for our bodies.
I want to go back to her question because it does interest me. In the winter, assuming we lived in a time, because this is a diet that's supposed to have been good many years ago when they didn't have shipping all over the world, what did one eat that grew in the winter, assuming we lived in someplace like that?
Well, the same things that grow in the winter now grew in the winter then. Root vegetables, and anyone that's familiar with farming in the north will know things that grow in the winter more often. But if you really want to get down to nature, I mean, our bodies aren't fit to be in a cold climate and live in a cold climate. We're really supposed to be living in the tropics where the things are growing all year round. And then when we started coming into cold climates, that's when we started needing clothes and heat and things like this that are unnatural. And that's when we started having to find things that can be eaten in the winter time. But root vegetables are definitely around in the winter time. You had your hand up?
There's a basis called Raw Power, and he's got a seasonal chart as to what you can eat in the winter time, if that helps.
Yeah.
That's all we're on.
Another question? Well, I just want to thank you so much. Okay, yeah?
What's your favorite exotic fruit?
Durian. Durian.
Yeah, good stuff.
I want to
It's an
thank
exotic
you
fruit from Southeast
for
Asia.
some of your earlier comments, because never having heard any of these words like colonic, raw foods, before I came here, at my daughter's request. You said something, people like to make you feel guilty because you just can't readily say, okay, here I am, give me all this stuff. It takes time. It's like when I stopped smoking after 30 years, 3 packs a day. I tried 4 times, but the 5th time I succeeded. And so what you basically said is that you have to do it at the pace you can do it, the best you can do it.
Exactly. I turned more people off to this when I started by pushing it on them when they weren't ready for it. Then I realized, I said, hey, it took me 20 years to start eating a healthy diet. Same thing with the Lord now. It took me 30 years to find the Lord. I'm not just going to tell people and expect them to just get it. It's better to live by example than to try to push it on somebody and expect them to get it right away. And by living by example, that's when people will start saying, wait a second, that guy's pretty healthy and happy. What's he doing? That's the best way to do it.
Amen.
So, nobody has a special power than anybody else. We all have the same capability to be healthy and to really accept what we're given and to deal with it, and that's what we got to do. So I'm going to be here for the people that are staying here. I'm going to be here for the rest of the evening, and I'll be happy to talk to you and if you have any other questions or anything else. And I'm leaving tomorrow pretty early, I think, or I might not leave too early. I'm not sure, but if you are going to leave, thank you for coming. And my stuff is there if anybody wants to look at it, or you can go to my website. And I want to just give a big hand to all the people that helped us at Hippocrates Health Institute to help put this together and make it available for us just as a place. And most important, I want you to give yourselves a hand, because without you, it would be nothing. So, get home safe. God bless you. And did everyone sign the email list that's going around?
No, I didn't even see it.
Where does it go? Who has it?
I have it. I collected it. I made your copy.
Okay. Let them finish signing it. If you didn't sign it, we'll bring it out to you. And with that email list, I'll sign you up for my newsletter. And all I have to say, it's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to coming back again. And next time you come, bring 10 friends. So thank you and have a great night. Thank you.